How's it going, everyone? We're going to take a look at the S.H.Figuarts of Hatake Kakashi. I'm just putting it like Hatake Kakashi from Naruto. So Bandai have released a figure of this guy in the SHF line some years ago at this point, but I guess by today's standards in 2023, that one might be a little bit dated, let's say. And well, we know that they've kind of rebooted the line with Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura as well, which came out just before. So this guy releases and kind of rounds off Team 7 in their Naruto Shippuden time skip look. And there are going to be also the young version of Naruto and Sasuke coming out later this year, I believe. So I'm very excited for those ones in particular. Now, if you saw my unboxing or video reviews for the previous kind of 2.0 reboots for Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto, they were not bad figures. I did have some issues with the faces on them, but well, with this guy, actually, like, there probably shouldn't be that issue because most of his face is covered. But looking at the guy so far inside the box, he's looking pretty good. Now, from my recollection of the old version of Kakashi, which I don't have to hand right now, he's looking a little bit chunkier. There's a bit more sculpting going on with just his overall outfit, which is good. Not a bad thing at all. Comes with quite a few different faceplates down there, some with the eyes visible, some not, which is cool. He's got the comical expression down here as well. Icha Paradise book, which is great as well, and some ninpo hands there, and then down here some alternate hands. I'm not sure if he comes with actual ninja type of like kunais or shurikens or things like that. We might see that later on. Otherwise, the package is quite similar to what we saw for the refresh of this line so far, i.e. with Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto. So you got a portrait of Kakashi there with the kind of inky filter on there. This is the top of the package. This is the bottom of the package. This is the side with his name down in Japanese and the actual phrase of it as well, the Sharingan hero. And then we've got the back showing some pictures of the guy itself. So yeah, it doesn't look like he comes with the ninja accessories, but he's looking pretty good. I really like the comical expression. That's nice to see. But yeah, his articulation, by the way, is going to be all kind of updated this time around compared to what we saw last time. So again, similar to what we saw with 2.0 of Sasuke and Naruto. So let's have a look at the figure out of the box. And this is everything that's included inside the box. As usual, we'll start with the option parts before we get into the figure, so skip ahead if you want to see that. So with the hands, you've got the two fists already attached to the figure when you get it out of the box, and then you get this pair of hands, which are not super relaxed, but I guess we'll call them relaxed for this kind of sake. So Kakashi's hands all here are going to be similar in terms of being gloved like this, fingerless gloves like this, and then you've got the backside which has a kind of metal plate on them with the kind of rivets in the four corners as well. So they are quite plain for the most part, but they are sculpted with a few wrinkles here and there that you can hopefully see from like the sides of the hands and then the actual palm side as well. Then it comes with the kind of gripping hands. So this is the pair of those. So most of these come as pairs. So you can see that again, same sort of gloves, fingerless gloves going on there. So you can use these for whatever kind of pose, the dynamic poses that you want to do. He comes with two hands to actually use to hold his Icha Paradise book. So this is here, you can see it's sculpted. So the actual back fingers or later fingers are sculpted tight shut. You can't do anything with those, but the thumb and the index finger are. So I'm just going to show you that now, actually. So let's just quickly jump to the Icha Paradise book. So this is just the back cover of it there in katakana with Icha Paradise there with a man and chasing the woman, and then the no entry thing on the other side, and then it's playing on the actual book side of it. So what you got to do is just slip it in there. It doesn't always fit. I should mind dropping it. It doesn't always fit stable, but play around with it, and then it should hopefully kind of sit inside the hand like so. So pretty straightforward. You can do it with the left or the right hand. He comes with a different pair of hands, which is going to be for the ninjutsu hands. So this is when he's doing his ninjutsu, right? So both pair are quite identical pretty much, just left and right. So that's going to cover that. You got the spread fingers hands, which is cool for when you've got, again, dynamic poses going on. So once again, same sort of gloves there, but that's cool to have. And then it comes with the hand. This one is just going to be for the left hand. So this one, you can use it in a couple of ways. So the often typical one is to use to kind of remove the bandana from his eye, the left eye. So you kind of position it this way around, I guess. So that's usually how it is in official artworks, and in the anime it was like that as well. Or you could use this to do his, what's the one, the katon, the fireball jutsu as well. So you can use it like that against his lips, and then he kind of blows to do the fireball jutsu. So there's a couple of ways to use that one. You can use it in other ways if you want to as well. Get creative with it. And then the final hand is going to be actual joined hand. So this is going to be his 1000 Years of Death hand. So this is pre-joined together. You can't take this apart. You just gotta, well, attach it to both arms. It's actually not too tricky to do. Oftentimes I find hands like this or arms like this can be a bit troublesome to attach, but for Kakashi, I found it quite straightforward. If it remains straightforward when we would get to it, well, that remains to be seen. But yeah, it was actually quite good to do and easy to do, and it's a cool hand to have. Actually, let me just quickly show you the front side of it, because I didn't really give you a clear look. So you can see the fingers there overlapping, which is really cool. So I like this hands. It's nice to have them included in this package. As far as hands go, I think they're quite similar to what the original S.H.F. Kakashi had. There may be some differences here or there. My memory of it is quite fuzzy at this point. But let's jump onto the faces. So the original face is going to be with just one eye visible, the right eye, and then he usually covers his left eye with the Konoha band as well. But you can see he does come with both eyes revealed as well. So starting with the actual covered eye, so you get two alternate faceplates for this. So it's going to be two different head types. We'll get into that in just a second. So the second alternate head that you get here is going to be the comical one with the whited out eye. And obviously you can see it's cut in a diagonal, which means that you need to use it with this head sculpt that has the diagonal band or the fuller size band to cover that left eye. It's pretty straightforward, honestly. It's a pretty simple face, to be honest with you. He's got his face mostly covered in the kind of mask, so that's really how Kakashi is. But, you know, with that sculpt, it's a nice sculpt. He's got a very strong kind of jaw and nose sculpting going on, which I personally like, and I think is good. You got a little bit of the sideburns showing, and then of course a little bit of the eyebrow on top of the eye there as well. So that's the comical expression. So he comes with a comical expression, Sakura comes with a comical expression, and so does Naruto. Sasuke is the only one that doesn't. Then we've got the one eye closed, which is kind of, you know, smiling with the eyes, which I like. So then we'll go on to the other alternate head. So this kind of gives us a closer look at the hair, really. So this one you will use when he's got both eyes exposed. So the band you can see is much more kind of straight, I guess, and it's not covering the left eye. And the hair is a little bit different, a little bit more swayed. So I'm just going to hold it back there. It's slightly different the way the hair is sculpted. Not massively different, just a little bit here and there. So when it comes to the hair, by the way, now, depending on, I guess, the distance that you're at, I've been very up close with this. I'm not a huge fan of the hair. I think it could have or should have been done a little bit better. It's just the finish is a little bit too glossy for me. And I don't know. Again, my memory of the original S.H.F. is fuzzy. Maybe that one was better sculpted. I can't 100% remember. It's not to say this is bad. I just think it could be a little bit better. But yeah, not bad at all. I'm being very nitpicky with it. But anyway, yeah, this head sculpt is going to be slightly different because it's got, like I said, the eyes, both of them exposed. But both do have the Konoha band there, and you can see the Konoha leaf symbol there and the rivets on the both left and right sides as well. And then you can see the rest of his face sculpt or eyes here. So the sculpt for the face, once it's covered, is pretty much the same. But you got one eye closed there, kind of focused. And then this one, just also to point out, so it might not be super duper clear. So this face that you're seeing, the eye here is, I believe this is the 3 Tomoe Sharingan, not the Mangekyo one. So let me zoom in a bit and hopefully you can see that. It's very hard to see with just your naked eye. So there. So you can also see the scar down the left eye as well. So that's a story reason why he's got it. Oh, I guess I won't spoil it here. But yeah, you can see the 3 Tomoe there, which basically is the 3 kind of markings inside the eye. So that's really cool attention to detail. To be honest, you're not going to notice which one it is at a natural distance. I really have to zoom in to see. I had to use my camera just to figure it out. But it's cool to see that. So again, because this is the kind of Naruto Shippuden stuff, he does also have the Mangekyo Sharingan, which we'll go into in just a second here. So again, both eyes, are exposed with this one. So this one, he's got his right eye open. And then the left eye this time is going to be his Mangekyo Sharingan. So his Mangekyo one, the way that's patterned is slightly different to, say, Itachi's one and some of the other characters in this series. So they just kind of milk the eyes and contact lenses, I guess. But yeah, it's slightly different here. I feel like, I mean, it's such a detailed thing to kind of get right at this scale that it kind of looks like blotches. But it's supposed to be, I believe anyway, the Mangekyo one, because the actual center kind of pupil bit is shaped different and he's got bigger blotches. So yeah, they managed to do the 3 Tomoe. So that's the Mangekyo one. This one then is also going to be the Mangekyo one as well, but with this time we've got the right eye closed. So you got 2 versions. So this one's the Mangekyo one, and then I'll show you again the one with the where is it gone? Where have I put it? So on the left, we've got the 3 Tomoe Sharingan, and on the right, we've got his Mangekyo one. So it's really cool that we've got both included in this pack. That's covering all of his faces, which I think is really cool. He comes with a decent number of hands and a decent number of faces. As I mentioned, you do need to swap the appropriate head to make sure you get the appropriate face using. Otherwise, you'll get a big gap where his left eye should be or should be covered. But let's get on to the actual figure itself. So he stands roughly around 15.5 centimeters. His hair is slightly different on each one, but pretty much the same, I guess. It's just swayed ever so slightly, but about 15.5 centimeters this guy stand. Just to kind of recap where I got mine from. I got mine from, where did I get mine from? Gosh, I can't remember. CD Japan. I think it was CD Japan. So yeah, I ended up paying retail price plus the FedEx shipping. So it's not exactly cheap anymore. But yeah, that's the where I got mine from. He should still be available in some places because I believe he was a general over-the-counter release, not a limited edition web exclusive. But don't quote me on that. If it's still available, I'll leave 1 or 2 links in the description down below as well. So in terms of the way this guy looks out of the box, I don't mind it. I think he looks pretty good. He's a very solid looking character. As I mentioned in the beginning though, he's a little bit more chunkier, not in a negative sense, versus the SHF that came out way back. So I've got that packed away somewhere, so I don't have it as a comparison, sadly. But he just looks chunkier and more detailed in terms of he's got the ruffles and wrinkles going on his green jacket, around his actual blue of the sleeves there, down on the pants too. So a lot more in terms of that sculpting is apparent here than what I recall happening in the original SHF Kakashi figure. And that's great. I'd really like to see that. I would say then the original SHF Kakashi is more similar to like a plain look that you might see from the anime, whereas this is a bit more of the kind of the illustration look that Kishimoto you might have seen from his art books or other kind of stuff as well. So a bit more of a modern, updated look with the kind of roughed up look maybe. But I like it. It's very, very cool. And yeah, generally looking, I'm very happy with the way that the sculpt has turned out for Hatake Kakashi as the new 2.0 SHF. So very cool there. Like I said, it is just the hair that's a bit weird for me. It's sculpted okay. I think it's just the material that's used just gives it this really kind of shiny look. So hopefully that can be made apparent in the video, but it's not too bad. But if you're going to leave this on display though, I would advise you use a makeup brush and what's the other one? Canned air, so you can kind of clean his hair, because I'm sure you'll get dust trapped in there. But yeah, his head is otherwise fine. It's pretty much the same as the other head that we saw, but this time we're seeing the band is much more thicker down here because it is covering that left eye. You've got the tied bit over there, which you can actually move. It just kind of moves round and around. Basically, you can't do anything else with it. It would have been cool if you could do a little bit more like a ball joint perhaps, but nothing major there. Coming down to his actual vest. So his vest is kind of compartmentalized or done in separate bits. So you've got this collar bit here, you can see it kind of lifts up at that bit, and then it's kind of connected at the back there. It doesn't really articulate, there's just kind of a little bit of shifting that goes on. Then you come with the chest bit where the pouch is here. That's kind of sculpted completely separately, gives you a big gap there, which means he won't be able to kind of bring his chest forward a lot, but really we'll get into that in a second. It's not a huge deal, and that kind of continues around there with the symbol on the back. This symbol is pretty cool. I like that. The texture on it is quite nice. Then we get the belly section here with the wrinkles, as I mentioned earlier on. And then we come down to the waist portion of it, which is different this time around. I believe this wasn't the case with the original one, but this is something that's happening with Naruto and I think it was Sasuke as well, with the 2.0 SHF line. So you got this kind of loose belly bit here. I didn't really like it with Naruto, to be honest, but with Kakashi, it doesn't look too bad, especially once you kind of got him kind of bent over and in a pose itself. It actually doesn't look too bad. You've got the symbols on the arms there as well, which is the same sort of texture that was on the back, coming down to the rest of his arm, and then the gloves as well, so the fist that we mentioned, and it's got the same sort of metal plate over there. He's got rolled up sleeves, so you can see the exposed skin, which it worries me a little bit in terms of changing hands, but it's been okay for me so far. But still, good attention to detail there. And then we kind of come down to the bottom half of the figure. So you got the pouch there, similar to what Naruto had as well. It's kind of a bigger pouch. For Kakashi, we've got the actual waist portion here, and you can see straight away that it's quite similar to pretty much most SHF figures these days. So you got a slip at the thigh portion down here. His pants are pretty much, well, plain, I guess. You got the pouch on the right leg and the straps down there as well, and then you come down to the actual calf straps as well, which is cool. Nice, like it's sculpted nicely. There's not really any paint work on it, it's just plain white. Coming down to his ninja booties, And if you recall the kind of videos that I did before, I don't like the way that this is all segmented in Naruto, but I think it's even worse here because now he's kind of got like his shoe in a shoe-looking shoe. Does that make sense? So not ideal, but yeah, you can kind of see how that would work, which we're going to go into just a second. And this is the bottom of it, which I think is nice. It's pretty simple detail, but I like that it's still sculpted for the soles of his shoes as well. So that's pretty good. So all in all, when it comes to the way this guy looks, I think he looks pretty solid. He's not got a lot of shading, which is a shame because I think shading would really amplify this figure a lot more because the sculpt is pretty solid. But only minor things I would say is I find with a lot of SHF these days is you get a lot of like poor kind of cuts from the mold there. Like you can see that. And this is true for Dragon Ball figures that I've opened as well. So I'm hoping they can kind of improve the kind of overall finish of their figures moving forward. Yeah, just something I've kind of noticed over the last few recent SHF figures that I've opened. But overall, he looks like a solid figure. Articulation-wise, he's pretty good for the most part. His head does move quite a decent amount. Naturally, though, the collar of the vest is going to get in the way. And imagine in real life, that would get in the way too. So it kind of goes that way. It looks pretty solid either way, though. Even when you're looking left and right, it still looks pretty good. His shoulders have a nice range of motion. Lift up around there, and then you can kind of twist them around. You can see they shift a little bit depending on how far you move his arms up, but they will kind of stop pretty soon as well. He's got the bicep cut there. You can bend his elbow nicely like so, not quite touching his shoulder, but still fairly decent. It should be a little bit more to get a much more natural position to lift the band up with that hand that we talked about earlier, but you can still do it. It just looks slightly awkward, that's all. And then the hand, you've got the usual wrist sort of stuff up and down all there and swivel there. Now with the skin portion of the actual hand, there's no real articulation per se, but it does kind of move ever so slightly. But I would say there's no articulation there, but maybe it's just mine stiff. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't want to push it or break it, so yeah. In terms of the midsection is very, very good. As we talked about there, you can see the sculpting of the pouches come down, but you know, the actual crunch comes down from the waist section, so it's quite good. And then leaning back like so. By the way, when you do lean forward, you will notice the actual made in China sort of markings there, which is kind of weird. I don't really like it being there personally, but I just thought it was funny that they kind of hid it there. But yeah, generally midsection articulation is pretty good, though the twist leaves a little bit to be desired. This is about as far that he's going to twist left and right, so it's a little bit restricted for my personal liking, but it still doesn't hamper like the kind of major poses that you're going to put him into. Just a little bit, I would say. Legs are quite familiar, or should be quite familiar if you've got the other figures and say Dragon Ball figures, because it pretty much uses the same sort of beefy waist groin sort of stuff that goes on there. So like versus what Mafex do, right? So you can do the splits nicely there, and then you can bring them up like so here, and then you've got the twist there. You got a bit of the, yeah, that's the twist there, sorry. And then the knee bend, which I think is hideous still. This is his knee bend, absolutely hideous, and it was hideous with Naruto and Sasuke as well, I believe it was. So yeah, really hideous looking knee. It's just such an ugly knee bend. Here's the actual elbow. The elbow is not as bad, you know, it's a smaller portion of the body, I guess, but the knee is atrocious, really ugly. Yeah, frankly, very, very ugly. The original SHF, I believe, used caps to cover the elbow or the knee, maybe both, which would occasionally come off, I remember. So I don't know. I just do think this one is quite ugly for the knee bend. That's for sure. Very ugly. But finishing the leg, then we come down to the actual ankle bit. So he's got a little bit of articulation there where the fold of the actual bit of the top part of the high tops is. So he's got a little bit of articulation. That's just on a ball joint. I did pull it off to just kind of double check. And then he's got the usual joints that's familiar to now for the SHF 2.0 of Naruto, Sasuke. So yeah, it's kind of got that whole shoe in a shoe thing. I don't really like it. I'm getting used to it. It's quite like robust, I would say, with the way that you can pose it. But visually, I just think it looks absolutely rubbish, to be honest. So the knee and this, I just don't think it looks very nice. Fortunately, you can hide it when it's front facing, but from the back, he's, like I said, it looks like he's got his foot inside a shoe that looks like a foot. So it's just not very sightly, sadly. But you can point the toe like that, lift it up like that, and then he's got good kind of motion there, and then finishing with the toe hinge there. So like I said, very ugly, but it is quite robust in the actual articulation point of view. By the way, you've also got the pouch, which is on a little board that kind of swivels back and forth like so. It's on a little tab there, you can see. And that covers his articulation. So generally, you can get him into some pretty decent iconic poses for Kakashi. Usually, he doesn't do much. Like, he's kind of like leaping or running or something like that. I'm going to try and do it. I find SHF figures posing them on camera is a lot harder than, say, Mafex. But let's just kind of go with something like this again. Imagine that he had his hand doing his Chidori effect piece, the lightning piece. Sadly, which I was going to comment on, he doesn't have a lightning effect piece, which is just kind of bizarre. Like, I would have hoped he came with one, but yeah, you can get him into some decent poses. Actually, his legs do kind of squat. The 1,000 Years of Death pose, he should be able to squat a lot more than what is available here. This is about as far as he's gonna go here, let's say. Really, his butt should be touching his ankles or heel, but that's about as far as you can go. It's still pretty decent, actually, and as we saw, the split is quite good as well. So all in all, you'll be able to get him into some good familiar iconic poses, and it should look quite solid. Let's swap some parts then, and then I think we'll go to the end of the video. So swapping parts is a little bit, it's not difficult, but it's a bit of a hassle when it comes to his face. So because of the collar in the way, oftentimes it's just easier to just pull off the entire head to change his face. So we'll do that. Pop off the head, and then it gives you freedom to just kind of pull off the actual face. So we're going to take it off there. His face is very tiny, by the way, so I often find it's a bit tricky to do it. We're going to still use this head, so you can see again it's got the actual covered left eye, and then we'll use the comical left eye if I can find it. Everything is so blue, it's kind of like merging and blending. There we go, comical left eye found. We'll add that in, just add that in like so, and then just replace the head back on. The joint is actually a bit more further here. It's usually, I'm more like used to it being at the back of the head, but for whatever reason it's really at the front. And then click it back in place, and there we go. That's what it's going to look like with his comical expression on, which is very cool looking. I'm going to take this one off and replace it with the other head. Now, my other head, this joint was unfortunately very, very narrow and tight. So hopefully I can kind of show you. You can see there's quite a bit of a difference. So I'm going to try to put it on now, but there was a lot of force I had to put on because it was just, I almost felt like I had to kind of resculpt that socket. But here we go. There we go. Clicked into place. Now this is the one where I do that first because the face just gets in the way. When you do that, if this happens with your one, just be careful of the hair spikes. You don't want to blunt them, which is unfortunate. I feel like I've kind of blunted one or two, but just keep that in mind. You definitely don't want to blunt his spiky hair because yeah, then it will just look really weird. Let's now use the exposed eyes. Because I've changed heads, it's going to be the one that we use exposed eyes. So we'll use this one here because I've already got it. Because I'm going to keep the head on. It's not too bad to actually put the head on or face on when you've got the head on. It's just more tricky to get the actual face off. But there we go. That's on. And there he's looking pretty solid, pretty serious once he's got his Sharingan. I think, which one is this one? This is the 3 Tomoe one. There we go. So it looks pretty good overall. Let's swap some hands then. So hands are pretty easy to do. Actually, they're pretty straightforward to do. I wouldn't say easy to do. I did have some trouble actually swapping hands. Like, it just took me a little while. So if it does, I would recommend that you kind of warm up the hands or something like that. I'm actually going to use these hands because this one's quite new. I don't think that one came with the original SHF. So we'll take up both hands. This one I said is a lot easier to do or more straightforward to do. Now the sockets, as I said just now, mine were a little bit tight for most hands. If that's the case, then just dip them in some warm water and yeah, take them out after about 10 seconds. And then they should be a lot easier to apply. So here we go. He's got his hands in both arms. You can, if you have trouble with this, you can usually get away by just applying one hand as a solid attachment and the other one kind of roughly. And as long as it looks like it's attached, it should be okay. But I've managed to get both of them as a solid attachment. So this is Kakashi now with his double kind of jutsu hand, or 1,000 Years of Death hands. And we'll kind of get him back into that pose again where he's squatting, right? So bring him down like so. And then, yeah, there we got him kind of squatting. So this is a real kind of rough look at how far he can go. But yeah, you can use this however you want, really. And then that's really about it. The rest is going to be quite similar in terms of changing his hands and changing his face. So it is quite straightforward. Now, it is unfortunate that this guy doesn't come with any lightning effect pieces or any ninja-based accessories. So no kunai, no lightning or Chidori effect piece. And he doesn't even have a hand to hold on to any kunai. So you couldn't even use a kunai from the SHF 2.0 Naruto because, yeah, he can't hold on to anything. So he's a little bit lacking there, but he is a solid looking figure overall. So let me just put him down there, and I'm going to bring out the 2.0 of Naruto, which I was kind of goofing around with before. So I'm going to stand him up. I'm going to keep him there. That's 2.0 Naruto there, and then we'll bring out Sakura here. They're all using their Komoko expression because that was the last thing I did with them. And then I'll bring out Sasuke as well right here. So we've got a complete Team 7 lineup here. You know what? They look pretty good together. Now, I did have issues with all three of them. That's true. I didn't think they were perfect figures. Not bad by any means. And Kakashi, same thing. He's not perfect, but he's not bad. I think he's my favorite one of the three. But take that with a pinch of salt because Kakashi is my favorite character in the series as well. But he looks pretty good. Let me just kind of get him there so you can kind of see his face there. He looks pretty good together. Actually, I'm going to stand him up because now he just looks too tiny and like miserable. So I'm going to hold him whilst the others kind of stand there because, yeah. So we've got Kakashi here, which he looks, yeah, as I said, quite good with the rest of them together. Now you can see though there's someone missing, and that someone is Sai. We never got Sai as a 1.0 version from this line. They kind of killed the line pretty early, but it would be nice to get Sai because obviously Sasuke doesn't kind of work with this Team 7 anymore, especially like in that outfit, this kind of period, he's not part of the team. He kind of disappears. So Sai definitely, I think, needs to be made now to kind of make the new Team 7, the post time skip, or the time skip Team 7. But yeah, like I said, the next one's coming out is going to be young Naruto, young Sasuke, which I'm personally very excited for because I really like those look of those guys as well. I'm not sure if they're going to do young Sakura. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But yeah, this is Team 7 in their time skip look. Let me know what you think down below because, yeah, I'm curious to hear what other people think. So this Kakashi figure is pretty solid overall. I really love the sculpt of the Kakashi. He's lacking a little bit in terms of wash or kind of shading, but that's kind of normal for a lot of the SHF figures. Now Sakura had a little bit, but he's, yeah, a little bit would have been nice for him. The hair does kind of leave some to be desired. It's not terrible. I just kind of wanted a little bit different kind of overall finish. It's too glossy for my personal liking. But still, in general, he is a solid looking figure. He comes with a nice array of hand parts, which is great. A nice array of face parts, which is great. I love the fact that he comes with the different Sharingans, the Tomoe one and the Mangekyo Sharingan, which is amazing to see. The thing that I would have liked that he would have included is definitely going to be kunai and a hand to hold the kunai. And 100% he should have come with his lightning effect piece. So yeah, this is definitely my favorite of the figures so far when it comes to the SHF reboot of the Naruto figure line. I'm really curious what they do next after young Sasuke, young Naruto. I do kind of hope they do Sai now. But I'll also take a Namikaze Minato because that's my next favorite character. But I'll be open-minded. I'm curious. Let's see what they do because so many people have different favorite characters from this series. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for dropping by to check out this video. Check out my channel for more, including Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke unboxing of the SHF figure line, as well as many other figures out there. Stay safe, take care, and see you soon.